What's up, everyone? Movie Mania Nick here. I'm here in day number 2 at the New Jersey HorrorCon and Film Festival. Today is basically going to be more celebrity guests and the panels. So let's do this, have some fun, and meet some people. Sure. All right, guys, look what I just ran into Girly Gore.
What's going on? Hello, YouTube family. I missed you.
That's your name, Girly Gore?
Yeah, Girly Gore. That's me. And this is Lauren, who you'll know from my channel and podcasts and such.
Awesome. Where can they find you?
YouTube.com/GirlyGore.
Awesome.
Subscribe, y'all. Subscribe.
We're having a blast, guys.
Yeah.
So much fun here.
Amanda Wiss, Mimi Craven, and Mick Strong. Make some noise! How was, the project or the franchise first presented to you, and what were your first impressions when you first became involved in the Nightmare on Elm Street universe?
I first heard, I got an audition from my agent and was sent the script. I read it. It read like a really great horror novel. I went in, auditioned for the role of Nancy, which I did not get, obviously. And then met Heather in the callback. We read together, and that I think he told us that day. It was close to that.
Yeah, it was close to that day or the next day, yeah. Actually, we found out there.
Yeah.
He told us.
Yeah.
When we were in the audition.
Yeah.
I just read the sides. I didn't even read the script when I got it. I read it for Nancy, and I always tell the story that they didn't have furniture in the casting office, so we all had to sit on the floor and wait for our name to be called, and then went in. There were not 200 people there. There was me and like one other sad Hollywood actress sitting on the floor. And I remember I had been worried about my car being stolen.
I'm guessing same story.
Yeah, no, same thing. Exactly the same thing. No.
I'm just kidding. I wanted to ask Mimi one thing.
A gentleman doesn't.
Okay, but Mimi, when did Wes mention Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time?
Okay, I was a flight attendant. Wes was on his way to South Carolina to do
It's
some
Wes
work.
Craven's wife.
And he came up to me and said, literally, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Please come and be in my movie. And I didn't know then that he was the shyest person. And it had taken everything he could do to ask me. And I lived.
Wes Craven, when you first met him, kind of how that went down for the rest of you guys.
When I met Wes, we were going through script decisions on special effects because there just wasn't anybody involved in the film that was guiding it at the very beginning. And I wanted
The man that he hired me, and I'm like, oh. No one's hiring me, but this nice man gets me, because I think he and I were from kind of the same part of the country. We're both really modest people. When I put those pajamas on, I think he and I were more embarrassed than anybody. And then when I saw what Amanda was wearing, I'm like, holy cow, that's so sexy. And that opening scene, because we both had a very prudish, conservative kind of upbringing, and so I understood that he was a very modest.
He called me and just sweetest, can I take you to lunch? And we'll go to
Sarah Risher? No, not
Yeah,
Sarah.
No, it wasn't Sarah, but it was the brunette. Anyway, I got taken to the most expensive lunch in Los Angeles, and I'm like, okay, what do they want? What And they're the cheapest people on the planet. They wanted the box of worms. I did. Kicked myself.
I do want to build entirely off of the success of this franchise. You know, it's called The House That Freddy Built. So I've always wondered how hands-on was Bob Shea, New Line CEO, and what was it like to work for New Line in the 80s?
I think Bob was really hands-on, I'd say. Right out west all the time. And there's some changes in there that actually I think made the movie really, really tight. Like some things were cut, and there was some like just some very minor changes in the way Freddy is portrayed, and they were small, but you know, he thought of himself as an auteur, you know, of horror, definitely, and he thinks of himself as a poet and a Renaissance man. I mean, he thinks he's very like scintillating, and you know, I mean, he was always kind of a circus master, and the Wizard of Oz kind of rolled into one. He was always right there.
I defied them, and at the time I was with like the biggest agency in LA, and they didn't work too hard for me after that. But about 3 years after the movie, I was at my mom's house. I grew up in a little beach town, and I was handing out candy at Halloween, and about 5 Freddys came to the front door, and I was like, oh my God! I was like, I'm in that movie! And they're like, yeah, right. I'm like, no, really? And they're like 10-year-olds. I'm like, no, listen, you little shit. I'm in the movie. I play Tina. Nobody would believe me. But then I went, oh my gosh, like this thing. But Heather and I would sit on your steps of your dressing room and do the crossword puzzle all day between scenes. And we would just sit there and do the crossword puzzle. And that's like one of my most vivid memories of doing Nightmare on Elm Street is crossword puzzling with Heather. But I think like my favorite was the collaboration doing my death scene in the rotating room. It just was so intense and kind of arty and challenging.
Rotating room also was the room where they did, you know, the sucking into the bed. And that day was, unfortunately or fortunately, I've never been able to figure it out. I wasn't on the set, but I get a call at home, and they say, and it was, I'm okay. Let me just tell you, I'm okay. I didn't die. So if you know, they were doing, yeah, they had filled that room was filled with liquid, and you know, it was done by
The blood.
grips were with ropes and things, and Wes and the DP were strapped in, and what they weren't counting on centrifugal force, whatever it's called, when they flipped the room around and all that liquid, they lost the ropes, and the room just kept doing it.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
Yes, no, Wes almost been.
I mean, every day I worked, there was a memory I have. I probably could, regale you with a memory from there was only 25 days. That's all it took to shoot Nightmare on Elm Street. And so, but I think that, like Mandy, when you're in an intense scene that involves a lot of effects like that, and the bathtub was incredibly memorable because it took a long time to shoot that scene. It was almost a whole day, and there were so many aspects of it. Just the bathtub was actually about 9 feet deep, and there was a man named Jim Doyle in the bottom of the bathtub in a scuba diving rig, and Wes would, and I'm sitting there on a 2x4, like that, and Jim is between my legs, so I mean, already I'm embarrassed, and then Wes would bang on the side of the tub whenever he wanted the hand to come out. Wes would bang, and then he said we did that like 100 times, and then they moved the camera. So slowly, I was the one who had to manage the bubbles because the art director was nowhere to be found. No. And I'd be like, more bubbles, please, more bubbles. And so then I'm like, I need some more. I need some modesty bubbles, and I need some warm water because the whole tank would cool down like every 20 minutes. So it was so laborious. But the most memorable thing about that day was Bob Shea. I've been basically naked, but I had like a little, bra and panties on, but there's one section where I did have to take all my clothes off, and when I had to jump out of the bathtub and get my robe on, and so everyone was so embarrassed. I mean, Wes was just totally mortified. The set was closed. Everyone was like really, really embarrassed, and so Bob, before the take, goes, "Heather, I don't want you to freak out." And I don't know anything about this. I don't know how it happened. And I'm like, "What, Bob?" He's like, we just found a German photographer up in the catwalk of the studio, and he's been taking pictures all morning. We kicked him out. But I just wanted to let you know, in case you ever saw any pictures of you, know that it wasn't me. Just know that it wasn't me. And I'm like, "Thanks, Bob." Cut to a year and a half later, and I meet David Leroy Anderson, and he's like,
Get into the truck, and the truck starts out, and then they run around the corner again. And we're trying to figure out what happens after that. I mean, we had to get Dan into a hospital, and we had to get Kristen somewhere else, and so we're sitting, and at this point, we're 2 hours into this meeting, and Bob Shaye and everybody big is there, and we're around the table, and then there's another ring of people that are like all of our assistants and stuff are sitting around that, and literally we are talking about everything, and the cable comes, and the truck envelopes like this, and I'm out there going, "Yeah, that was fucking awesome!" And everybody's like looking at me like I'm like dancing around with, "Yeah, that was great, My favorite moment.
Get some autographs, get some photos. I know they have a lot more stories to tell you, and let's give them one more round of applause.
These are the ladies that played the princesses in the movie.
Awesome. Both you guys, and then get a little time.
Wow. I think you probably want to start with,
For the first Bill and Ted's, I was just beginning acting. I think I'd been acting for 3 months, literally. And I was just hoping that I could read the script, which I didn't. I was up for Missy and one of the princesses. And I went in, read the role for the princesses. I didn't even know really what this was about, didn't know anybody in it. I was like completely just arrived off the bus from Idaho practically. Did not know what was going on. And read for it, read for one of the princesses. They really liked it, they applauded, which I thought was a normal thing, but I guess it wasn't. Applauded, and then I didn't even want me to read for Missy, they just wanted me for one of the princesses. And so it happened very quickly. Next thing I knew, I was on the plane with Keanu and George Carlin flying to Rome.
Wow, amazing. Diane?
And for me, I actually I had finished Better Off Dead. So when I got the merci buckets, so I had just finished the film, and I thought, well, they're having me come in for Joan of Arc, obviously, right? They wanted me to read for Missy also, but I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to talk to existence, and they would want me for Joan of Arc. And they went, no, because I guess Joan of Arc doesn't talk in the film, which I never realized until I saw it after.
That would never work for you.
Right? I was like, what? So then all of a sudden, they looked at me, the director looked at me and said, "Can you do a French accent? I'm going English accent." And I said, "Well, of course I can do an English accent. I talk like this." And I said, "I'd love, it's very easy, I can do this." And they were like, "Oh my God, oh dude, this is excellent." And they were like, "Yes, would you be willing to play a princess?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't even realize that the princesses were such a crucial part of the story. And it was like, okay, sure. And of course, It is totally excellent to be a princess. I mean,
Oh, yes.
it is. I mean, I can't. I mean, it took me a while to like go.
It was, I think they went through bankruptcy, all sorts of things happened, but I had casting people telling me that, oh, the film's terrible, you should take that off your resume.
But you know, I'll tell you something. They think it's terrible because at that time, you know, if you were if you were a reviewer, right, and movies were in the theater, and you had to pay money to make movies in the theater, and you had to bring your audience out of their chairs at home and bring them to the movie theater, you had to put something sensational in the movie theater. So here's a movie that was very benign. It was like, how are we going to get them, they can watch this on TV. So I think a lot of times it was difficult to get we have loved to have been in Bill and Ted's 3. How many of you know about Bill and Ted's 3? Okay, good, all right. So we're very excited about it. We really wanted originally to be in it. We let the producers and everybody know that we were into it, and we made it very, very easy for them to make that happen. And
oh yes, I do. I didn't really know who George Carlin was when we got to make the movie, and I found out about him much later, but we went to Rome and we all toured the Vatican together, which I got kicked out of because I had too short of a skirt on, even back then. And George Carlin had to talk to the priest to try to convince them to let me walk in with everybody. So Keanu gave me his jacket and had it tied around my waist, and then I was able to get in. So I love that George Carlin talked to the priest about letting me get into the Vatican. And then he philosophized in his Carlin-esque way with me for over an hour when we did the alternate ending of the movie. We sat for an hour in his trailer, and he just was so deep and so serious and so, I don't know, just incredible about telling me about life, and he had suffered a heart attack and everything that was important about life. I wish I would have been able to record it now, because it was like the most magical things he was saying, and beautiful. And he was just a very deep, thoughtful, caring human being. You know, there was nobody really like him. I found out about him, you know, who he was, and watched all his work later, and I didn't realize how fortunate I was to work with such a genius.
I knew him as a comedian. I knew him as a raucous, outspoken comedian who was hilarious and was crude and rude and said things that we would never dare say. And when I met him, he was the most genteel, lovely man. Nice to meet you. Pleasure, my name's George, right? It was so like just trippy when I first met him. He was, I mean, in fact, Keanu and Alex also were very surprised at how well-mannered he was, was. So I just want to say it was a gift, and I always am amazed when people come and have me sign autographs. I always go, don't you want the one with George in it? Because he was, to me, the special person in the film. So it's kind of interesting, you know.
I do know that his daughter's in the third one.
Daughter's in the third one.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. We'd rather have you guys, but you know, whatever. That's the third film's mess up. So George was also the last person to be cast, right? Was he one of the last people cast, I think?
You know what, he was. They were casting other people for George Carlin's part, and then last minute they got George. So it is interesting. I forgot who else was in consideration.
Playing for Rufus?
Yeah, Rufus.
I've heard the interviews where people say they were throwing out all these crazy names, and it was like every day it was a different. Give these lovely ladies a nice round of applause.
We love the Bill and Ted's fans. You guys are the best.
So come to our table and we'll say hello.
Yes, do go to their table. They have a lot more stories about this movie that we could definitely not unpack.
My name's Isaac. Isaac's thrill is to cuddle and kill. That's
Is
fun
he?
for the whole family.
Oh, jeez.
The whole family. Maybe your family.
No.
Not a lot. Not a lot at all.
Hey, Jason. You listening?
Alright guys, that will do it for day number 2 here at the New Jersey HorrorCon and Film Festival. I hope you guys enjoyed that, because I know I have. Also, tomorrow's day number 3, and it is the last day of this. As you saw in the video, I met a lot of celebrities, went to some panels today. It was a lot of fun meeting them, especially Steve Guttenberg. He's a really nice guy. And also I met another YouTuber. I met Felicia and her sister Lauren, and Felicia's channel is Girly Gore on YouTube. She loves her scary movies, so if you like scary movies, go check out her channel. So with that being said, smash that like button, support, share. Also check me out on Instagram under the same name, Movie Mania Nick. And as always, be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes!